Drop.
Is this the fucking mic?
Drop.
This is exactly what I should be doing.
What's up, and welcome to this week's episode of The Drop, your weekly source for all things NFT and crypto art, as well as upcoming drops by notable people in the Mograph industry. I'm Matt Milstead. Joining me, as always, Dave Koss,
Yo.
and as well as Ross Morris from Cryptobiotica. Many of you may know him or may know Cryptobiotica, and the fun stuff. I'm excited to talk about it today.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit longer episode because I think we're going to get into some fun crypto talk besides just the drop space. So let's real quick just hop into the drops, get that out of the way, and then we're going to hop into the Cryptobiotica.
I'm going to use the bathroom real quick.
Oh,
So
Please do. Okay, cool. First up, let's go over to the big drops on Nifty Gateway and Maker's Place. Nifty Gateway, I feel like Nifty Gateway has listened to all of our advice saying, stop doing so many drops.
Yeah.
So they've basically got like 1-2 maximum per day throughout this week, which is awesome. I think that's really, really good. We don't have links for all of these because, you know, for some people who are doing a drop on Nifty, feel like they're too cool to actually put some sort of like thing together.
Promo or link or show what it's going to be.
Or even just saying, hey, I'm doing a drop this day. That's one of my biggest beefs with Nifty Gateway is I wish the artists would show what they're selling ahead of time, you know, because it's like, I don't know. Anyway,
I know. Yeah,
today, the 24th, what are we in? May 24th.
Year of our Lord 2021,
Greg Fargo and Infected Mushrooms, the band, I guess. They're doing a drop today, which is cool. I think it's like this whole like series of different mushrooms and stuff. So that should be fun. That's at 1:30, so that apparently started an hour ago.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so
pick it up on secondary.
You know what, we should see how that's going.
Right.
I'm gonna look at that. But tomorrow, an artist by the name of Giant Swan is doing a drop as well. I'm interested in this one. It says limited digital editions. It's like, I don't know. I'm interested to see what this is about. Like, it's the same thing. Like this cool little animation that they're showing and stuff. You know.
Like, is that the NFT?
Yeah, is that what they're selling? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
could be a little more informative.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's a cool animation.
That's where
I thought
people
that was neat.
pick up interest. I guess they don't care. They're like, I'm gonna be on
I
Nifty,
agree.
so I'm just gonna make money, whatever. But
yeah,
you know, a little promo and hype would be good.
Right. Totally. Next up, the 26th Wednesday, we've got BD White. Doing a drop. We got some of that sweet astronaut action.
Heck yeah.
You know, it's not an NFT if it doesn't have an astronaut in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. There's that one on the 26th. On 27th, 3 Lao. I'm pretty sure I'm saying this incorrectly, but I feel like this artist is a big artist in the industry, in the crypto space, but they didn't put anything on there, so I almost skipped them, but I feel like I recognize the name anyway.
Yeah.
On the 28th as well, you would think with two big artists like this, they would, you know, want to actually promote it. But Chad Knight and Cascade are doing a collab together.
Yeah.
Ross is over here doing his taxes.
Yeah.
Just
I'm opening a meat and cheese packet.
Ooh. That protein dough.
Yeah, it's his midnight snack, right?
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Chad Knight Cascade. I like me some Cascade. I hope that it's a valuable.
I like Chad Knight's work too.
You know,
as well.
I
just wish I could see. Wish I could see what some of this stuff looks like.
And it's like,
I'm real sad about that.
Talk about the relationship. Like, what is Chad Knight's relationship with Cascade? Is there one, or was it like, hey, we just need someone to do a thing? Like, did you have did you talk? Did you collaborate? Did you get on Skype? Did you have like a moment where you were like vibing with the artist, or did their like publisher come and say, hey, make us a thing?
Right.
They're-
Okay, Billy. Yeah, 3Lao is a DJ. Okay, I knew I recognized.
Anything that has a number in it instead of a letter,
Yeah.
most likely is going to be a DJ.
Is it Slough?
I'm thinking
you know,
Slough, or
because-
it could be ELAU. Elau.
Oh, Elau. I don't
It's like
know.
Dead Mouse
man.
5. You just don't know.
Right, exactly. You just don't know. Anyway, also on the 28th, Exoart.
Mhm.
Or is it Hugs and Kisses art? I don't know.
Hugs and kisses
Anyway.
art.
Hugs and kisses and hugs.
So
All right.
art.
This one actually has a link. They did a thing,
Oh.
which I don't know what it is. It's called Hello World, which is interesting. I like. You know, we'll see where that goes.
Are you able to read this code on command? Ross?
Pronounced Blau. Is it really,
Can you?
Cameron? Is it pronounced
is it
Blau?
Oh, that makes sense because
Because
the
that would
3
be
is a B.
so stupid.
Blau. Okay.
That's so stupid.
But
All right.
I'm trying to. Can you, Ross?
I can't read code.
Go
I
through
don't
this
do
code?
any coding.
Oh, come on, hacker man.
It's
Come
all
on.
about the
3
aesthetics.
is a B. Okay. I don't know.
It's just the
Hacker
aesthetics.
Man. All right, and that's it for Nifty Gateway. Which that's actually all the drops for this week, which is cool. You know, I'm glad they dropped down the amount of drops and that they're doing per day, which I think is good for the industry. I think it's good for Nifty Gateway. Whatever.
Mhm.
And it puts more attention on the individual artist, which is good.
Totes.
I think that's good for our space.
Yeah.
Only one drop this week on Maker's Place, which is today. The super talented artist John Norlander did a drop with Manchester City. Boo, Manchester City, West Ham United forever.
Oh my gosh.
I love myself some West Ham, and I'm sad that Manchester City won the Premier League, but whatever. So there's a bunch of really cool animations and stuff. If Manchester City is your thing and all, I would do it to support John Norlander, not Manchester City. Now, if John Norlander worked with West Ham United, I would be all over that. Hammers forever. Let's see. In the community drops, we only got a couple here. Let's see. We feel so stupid. Last week we had Jan Sladeko on the show, and we didn't even
ask him
talk
about
his
drops.
NFTs.
Oh my gosh.
Right, we didn't even talk about his NFTs.
It's because we were all on a hard out and we were trying to get done, and we finished up we didn't even talk about your drops.
Yeah.
So we'll put those in the
Jan
notes.
stuff, I believe you can find them. I think it's on. Is it on Maker's Place Foundation?
I believe
Super
so.
Rare?
I will link to it in the notes.
One of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll put it in the notes. Next up, we've got Paul Robinson, Send 3 Productions. Paul, Dave, you want to bring this up?
Plan
Oh,
B?
This one,
Plan
this one's
B.
so good.
Yeah.
This one's so good.
I'm trying to zoom it in a little if I can here. Here we go. It's not too bad, but yeah, check this out.
I love this one. He said he actually modeled everything, which is rad.
Nice.
But it's and it's got a sweet loop and stuff like that. It's a really good piece. Like the stuff that Paul's been putting out is really, really good. And Paul, you're underutilized at the WWE. They need to do more cool stuff. You need to do more cool stuff for them.
There you go.
Anyway,
He needs
next up we've
Yeah, it looks
also got.
awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? He just got a bid on one of his first pieces, which is cool. It's really good to see that.
All right on.
Next up, we got Andy Needham. Andy Needham did one on Hick
Yuck, yuck.
and Yuck. Yuck.
Yuck.
Hick and Yuck.
Yuck.
Don't get me started about that name.
So, but this one's cool. I love this one. I think it's super cool. He says he was playing. He's been watching his kids a lot lately, and got kind of inspired by one of his kids' toys, which I think is cool. I
Yeah.
think it's way rad. It's one of those little poppers, little poppers.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really like the index of refraction that he used inside of there too. Really does it for me.
Nice.
It's actually really cool. Look at how the light affects in the back of it. I like that. That's pretty dope.
Well, I think there's one half is the red thing, and then the other half There's like a mirror on the backside, right?
Yeah, something. Oh,
Yeah,
it's interesting.
something like
Okay.
that.
And
I
then,
think-
yeah.
Do we have another?
Yeah, we had another one. Actually, no.
No, they were both Paul.
oh,
there were
that's
two
right,
Paul.
that's
like
right.
I put in Paul last
We
week,
both
and then
had
you put
Paul.
him in today.
So that's all.
Oh
That's
no,
all
we
we
both
got.
put him in
huh?
at the same. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
If anyone is doing a drop or has dropped a new piece or whatever, and you want to pimp it on the show, whatever, feel free to shoot us an email, info@mograph.com, and we'll post it on the air.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't hate on the Tumblr of NFT
The
platforms. Which one?
Tumblr. That's funny.
Hick and yuck. Hick yuck.
When
I mean-
when Goofy wants to do his NFTs, he picks a yuck.
Yuck.
I mean, no hate on the platform itself.
Right. It's
Like,
a great.
No,
I
I-
really like what they're doing. It's just,
Yeah.
oh man, the name bothers me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
There's no way to like tell it to someone in person without sounding like you just like had something break in your brain.
Yeah.
They're
You
just
gotta
like,
spell
did I
it, and you're
just-
like heist T N none C.
Did I just hear a typo in person?
X? But yeah. Sorry, I spoke a typo. Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
can call it hen, and then I'm just thinking about chickens. Or then you can call
Right.
it hick, and then I'm thinking about a guy that lives in the woods.
Yeah.
And then
somewhere
you
that-
finally do it. You
Loves
finally
chicken.
spell it out for someone. They're like, "Oh, .com, right?" No, it's .xyz. Like
Right.
I've never even seen a site
It's
with
just-
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah.
that. Just smash
Honestly,
the
if you told
keyboard.
me-
You'll get there.
If you smash your face against the keyboard and hit enter, you'll be
Yeah.
there. Like that's the big problem is like I don't know I don't think I could not even begin to type in the address like of it.
Right.
I would literally type hick and yuck and see if like I get there.
Yeah, Carlos
You know?
says a cat walked across the keyboard. That's actually
Yeah.
how they signed up for the domain name. The cat
Right.
was on hover.com and like walked across and hit enter, and it purchased
Right.
the website.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
hmm
Now apparently it's Latin.
Yeah, that's what I
We
mean.
know. It's
Oh, you know. Okay.
It's just
yeah.
stupid.
It's Latin
dumb.
for not understandable. I don't know. It's Latin for
It's Latin
obscure.
for unintelligible.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Cryptobiotica. Finally,
Let's talk. Let's
Oh,
talk.
sure.
tell
Yes.
us about it. Tell us about all the things.
Tell us a little bit about because we when we had the special a few weeks ago, that's when we first talked about Cryptobiotica,
Mhm.
and I felt like, and this was kind of as the NFT space was kind of dwindling down a little bit, but this Cryptobiotica thing, man, it piqued my interest again
Mhm.
because I'm a big fan of like Pokemon cards and like breeding Pokemon and stuff like that.
This is just such a great
This was-
example
this
of
very-
using
yeah.
the blockchain instead of just,
Absolutely.
oh, here's an NFT. This is a whole nother level. And so explain to us from the beginning what for somebody who has
Yes.
not heard of this before. That's the thing. Somebody's just watching this and they're like, what is this site?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Cryptobiotica was a biotech company that reached out to me, and I want to say, like late February, and they had this really remarkable discovery that they'd made that I didn't believe at first, and it took a lot of spelling out, and then the next question was why are you contacting me, what do you want me to do, and so to spell it out, they basically they're using some kind of algorithm, some kind of engine that interprets like digital information as if it were physical information. And so that essentially allows them to take digital information and view it as though it was the same way that we view our own world. And that was pretty mind-blowing enough to me. But then they said that they had actually found these forms of life living in this world, this void-like environment, because they started looking into Ethereum's blockchain first, I guess. It's a very digital rich environment, and yeah, they found these things moving around and living out their lives, basically creating this like fast ecosystem, you know, within the blockchain that people are using continuously, and actually feeding off of like energy discharge from that blockchain, which was really interesting, especially when they started drawing parallels for me between like ocean life and things like that, and how, you know, the basis of the oceanic ecosystem is formed by these like autotrophic unicellular organisms that just kind of convert sunlight into their own food source, and they in turn feed larger organisms, and so on and so forth. What the impression I've gotten so far, because they are kind of secretive, just kind of giving me what I need to know to do my thing, is that they're seeing the same kind of system develop in this like bizarre digital environment, and so they've kind of dedicated themselves to exploring this further and mapping out these chains of life, because there's a lot of very I don't know, specific attributes and or I guess I should say traits and properties to these life forms that we're not like super familiar with, as is, like if we're trying to put it in the context of animals and life that we do know, it's something else that I don't think has ever been seen before or discovered. Like for instance, they, you know, like evolution is typically a process that requires like a lot of time to play out and for us to actually see happen.
But in the digital world, it's faster, right?
Yeah, it's like instant. So, you know, there a lot of these terms being used, I don't even feel like fully encompass what is being observed. So like species and things like that, like the best we can make of them are, you know, different species. But in reality, it's like two species of animals, you know, two different species of fish, for instance, like could not like breed together and then make a new kind of fish.
Right.
But that's what we're seeing here with cryptobiotic organisms, is like two of them from different apparent species can actually, they refer to it as pollination, I guess, because it's not like physical contact is needed at all, and it's all some kind of digital transfer of information.
Similar to the way like bacteria can share DNA, right? So like if you like, that's why they tell you not to take antibiotics, because antibiotics, you know, can hold DNA from things that will kill. Well, so basically it will, if a bacteria becomes immune to antibiotics, it produces that DNA that will make them immune, and then can very easily pass on that DNA to other bacteria. That's why they fear of this like superbug, this super bacteria that is completely, you know, immune to antibiotics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's to compare it to, you know.
So that would be like an attribute being passed down, and these have that too. But they're actual like means of reproduction, like the mechanisms and process, I guess, that occurs through. Like it at least hasn't been made very clear to me, but this lab seems to have gotten at least the mechanics of it down to a point where they figured out how to encapsulate them within an NFT, which like it sounds a little out there, but I mean it doesn't really when you consider they're also digitally native in the most literal sense possible. For them to be able to captured within a certain indivisible mechanism, I guess, of the digital. That's the most sense I can make of it myself. But like, yeah, they figured out how to put them in NFTs, and beyond that, they can trigger this like pollination process through blockchain transactions.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, is like, where does the NFT pollination part fall into? Explain the process.
Right. Right. So the NFTs are, they have to be prepped in a certain way. It's not like any other kind of art form where you can, figure out a picture. Oh, okay, I'm going to mint this. And then, you're putting it on the chain. That's it. Like, they have to create a container that simulates their natural environment. And then take that container and then format it into an NFT. And then at that point, there are certain mechanisms built into that pre-NFT state, which they call an NSFV, which is a non-fungible sub-void that enables like a waste energy pass-through when a transaction is being transferred to a specific wallet address. In Cryptobiotica's case, they've arranged for that to be their lab's address. And so when you own two of these of the same evolutionary level and state, you can, there's actually a form on the website under pollination tab, and you can initiate a pollination, a couple different types at the moment, to basically combine two of the different species you own into one new one that is distinct from either parent, but adopts cosmetic traits and other attributes from either parent species, essentially. And so they really wanted to, they really reached out to me to kind of facilitate this whole program they're calling the Pollinator Initiative, where they don't feel like they can get through all of the work needed to be done to map out these evolutionary chains. And so they were like, okay, well, we can do this NFT thing. What if we just get open the door to the public for their involvement? Because it's like an interesting like development and people might be interested in this. So they kind of tentatively reached out to me like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. We see that you're in NFTs and kind of leading communities. Like, do you want to try setting this up? And I was like, yeah, sure, this is really interesting. And so I sprung for that. And, here we are now. And yeah, so I'm basically managing their pollinator initiative in a few different like facets. Like I help design the cards themselves. I'm working on the icons that represent the attributes of each species. And the cool part, I almost forgot. When you combine a pair of species that has not yet been combined, you're essentially discovering a new species for the first time, because two parent organisms will consistently produce the same organism. And if nobody has gotten to that yet, if no other researcher has done that, that new species is yours, and you maintain like a pretty great degree of ownership over it. So you can determine its common name. You can determine how many specimens of it will exist in captivity, and you could read that as additions. You could, you have sole access to adopt these additional specimens for 0.1 ETH each. So if you wanted to get your whole own little operation going where you're like trading them for others or reselling, like you're welcome to do that. You kind of maintain full ownership over these, even though because you like that's kind of the reward for participating in the research and helping progress this cause of theirs. And that's really the gist of it. All that.
I got this form here too. So you fill out the form, you put in your email, you specify the pair of. This is for the second phase. So that you specify the pair of first phase species that you want to pollinate. Yeah. Then you verify that you're going to pay for the transaction and all of that, and your wallet address info.
Yeah.
And then they're pollinated in the lab. Is that how that works?
Well, so the transaction itself is actually what triggers the pollination. Because, like I mentioned before, the NSFV component of the NFTs has this waste energy pass-through mechanism that when that transaction is sent to Cryptobiotica's wallet, it allows that waste energy to pass through, and therefore it triggers the pollination. So each of these transaction like amounts, so you'll see like 0.4 for the second phase pollination and a 0.35 for the first phase pollination, like that has been determined to be the like minimum threshold to trigger this reproductive process. And so like you can turn in the form all day and say you have species, but without that transaction actually going through, like you're not triggering anything. Like they're just, getting a notification that the form was filled out, because essentially what happens is upon being hit with that wave of energy from that transaction, they in some way, and this is I think why they're calling it pollination and not like mating or breeding, like through like a non-physical way, that information is able to be transferred to that transaction like the moment it's sent out. And so those two streams of, I guess, data from either parent species kind of intermingles within said transaction, and then the spawn will actually materialize at the destination of that transaction within that specific digital void that wherever that transaction is going to. And so it's set up to only enable this to go to the lab wallet, because that wallet in particular has been set up with this very specific, or this very, I don't know any details about it, some kind of capture apparatus. So as soon as that thing spawns and materializes there, it's already captured. And that's actually their only means of like capturing these things. Like they don't know how to bring them out of the wild, I guess you could say. So they've engineered this whole system in order to be able to track like evolutionary lines and study them in depth and up close and in detail, which it also doesn't disrupt, I guess, these strange ecosystems they're finding, because who knows, if you take out one thing, the whole thing could collapse. They just like don't know about any of it enough to be able to make that kind of certainty and judgment call. So
Liam asks, what were the 3 starting species that these started with?
3 starting species? I think that's a Pokemon reference. There's actually 8.
There's 8
base species.
Yeah, catch them all.
There are 8 base species.
He also wants to know if this is safe. We're not supposed to cross the streams, so you're not crossing the streams, are you?
What streams? Is this another Pokemon? I never played
It's
Pokemon.
It's a Ghostbusters reference.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever see Ghostbusters?
I don't think I have.
Oh, man, okay. Yeah, don't cross.
You're gonna run into a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like that with me. Oh, you haven't seen it? No, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Can these species evolve? Wait, I lost it. Can these species evolve to complex-looking organisms, or are we still early? Oh, that is a good question.
That's the thing. We're still really early, but and I mean, you could go to if you go to the Twitter, it's just at Cryptobiotica. Like, I notice personally, as each time like a new one is found, they're getting further and further more complex, especially if in terms of evolutionary development, because you have first phase evolutions, and those are the result of any of the 8 base species, like a cross-pollination of them. And then you have second phase, and that is any cross-pollination of the 28 possible first phase evolutions. And
because I'm wondering, like, in the distant future, are we going to see, like, those evolutions in the form of maybe like cilia or fins or things? Are we going to start seeing, are there attributes that are coming out that are starting to look like those types of things that we see in physical evolutions?
Yes and no. I mean, I noticed stuff like that. I've noticed some stuff like that, but there's also like weird stuff that we don't really see, like that we're not really familiar with, because it's like, it really is like this parallel world where like just about anything is possible. Like one of the latest ones that came out, because we actually just processed 2 second phase evolutions, and those were really exciting. One of them has this like sonar mechanism built into it that like releases this very high intensity energy pulse that actually like broke a bunch of lab equipment, and their whole like system was down for a couple days there. And so I mean, I'm sure, bats have echolocation and things like that, mm-hmm. but I don't.
It might be hard to recognize these evolutions because we're trying to compare it too much to physical world, right? Like
right. And honestly, it's just still so early on. There's just no telling what we'll eventually start seeing. I'm really excited to see it though. I don't personally have any myself because I'm just like way too busy managing the whole thing to get into it. But I love the chance to be able to just, sit here and make it happen for other people and kind of see how this keeps evolving and developing.
Yeah, Liam wants to know, do you have to feed him or anything, like Tamagotchi? Is that a thing? Or do they sustain after that?
What do you mean?
They don't like die. Like you don't have to give them food.
Oh, they're sustained.
Yeah.
As far as they can tell, they've developed these NSFV things I mentioned can sustain them indefinitely. So their natural death and life cycle is typically at the mercy of like blockchain volatility and things like that. So entire like orders and families of species can just be like wiped out if a coin suddenly like nobody's using it anymore. There's no energy passing through that. They have no means of surviving. They can enter some kind of dormant state for a little bit, I think, but that's typically how their life and death cycle will play out. But as long as they're sustained enough like ambient energy, which is the purpose of that like NFT formatting recipe they do, they'll just go on, and you won't have to worry about it dying or feeding it, like anything like that.
So if somebody wants to get started and collect these in their wallet, what do they need to do? Where do they need to go to start?
So that's the thing. We're sold out of all 8 of the base species. That happened very quickly. That was like 3 weeks. And all 44 were gone. And now at this phase, if you go to Cryptobiotica's Maker's Place Marketplace, there's a subsection of that marketplace labeled available for adoption. And you'll see 2 first phase species that are available there, but they're not going to be cheap at this point, because essentially if the only way that Cryptobiotica can resell any discoveries from other people is if they like explicitly give permission for them to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And there've been two people. One of them, Luminous Blue Death Star, and how these are priced is basically the resources sunk into finding this species is going to be their direct resale price. But
gotcha.
what you can do is you can go to any of the first phase evolutions or any of the base species, and you can find who owns it now, and then make their current owner an offer, and see what they would be willing to part with their specimens for. But it hasn't been, they. I haven't seen a lot of people have luck doing that. A lot of the people involved in our project, who've been made as like research associates because of their involvement, they're much more inclined to hang on to these. So I've seen a lot of like low ball offers come in that just get rejected. I've seen a lot of people actually bid higher than was the original asking price. Still get rejected. So you could try your luck there, or you could go for one of these available first phase species and cross-pollinate them to make a second phase, which are looking to be more and more exciting as this goes on.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of people are adopting, and gosh, there's more questions here. Yeah, Liam says, so if Elon says we're not accepting a certain coin anymore, that's a nuke for them, right? Like, his question is like, since energy is, or matter is not created or destroyed, where do they go? Where does this energy end up when the coin disappears on the blockchain?
We'll get into some metaphysics stuff here. Right. That's the thing, though, is
we'll see.
They might only have, like, and when I say they, I'm referring to Cryptobiotica, which is the lab. I've never met anyone in person. Only like a handful of phone calls. It's mostly through email type stuff, really. I got to use this app that's like heavily encrypted, and they will not contact me through any other method. Yeah. So they're very locked tight on details and things like that. And so I'm kind of given as much as they believe I need to know to keep the operation afloat. But honestly, personally, I'm not sure they even know the answers to some of these questions. They might have a clue, and the best you could hope for is that they'll like release it one day. I've actually, let's see, when was that? Friday, I was told they plan to start gradually releasing more information, because they got a whole bunch of data from the last few pollinations that went through, because they were the first, second phases. So they're still processing it, I guess, but they learned a lot of stuff. I wasn't told any specifics, but
I'm sure we'll find out as things get discovered and whatnot. I'm sure there'll be some press releases and whatnot.
Yeah. It's kind of like research briefings. That's not what they're called. I think they're finding reports. There's been one release so far, but
I saw
the impression I got
those like photos, is imaging like electron microscope looking things.
Oh yeah. That was apparently almost like I guess like a Gen 1, you could consider it, of their interpretive imaging system. It very much looks like an electron scan-esque. But apparently that actually damages them, that technique or method. But that was like a couple of years ago when they were first finding these and didn't know what to make of them. But at this point, I think you'll see that it's been like much improved.
But are these
and
images like digital representations of what we would see? You know, like, oh, we can't see an atom, or are these actual?
Right. Well, I mean, that's the gray area, isn't it? Because it's running it through a computer. Like, I get a bunch of people that are like, well, isn't this just CGI? And it's like, well, they're computer generated, so yes.
Right.
Like, in the most literal sense possible. It's just I forget the actual name of it. It's called like a P2 die algorithm. It's basically this engine that takes up like a room full of servers that's just crunching digital data and interpreting it in the same way that a brain does to signals that your eyes send it.
Oh, I got you.
And so that's what you're seeing, is that interpretation being spit out by this algorithm.
I got you.
Interesting.
So I'm sure while you're working in your lab there, you're watching the price of cryptocurrency.
Oh, I'm not in the lab.
Too. Oh, you're not in the lab at the moment? I mean, you have your own lab.
I mean, my lab is just my computer station. They have some kind of actual lab out there in a location I've not been made aware of, actually doing the science and doing the work. I'm just kind of like, I've kind of become the de facto like front man for the whole NFT side of things and the public participation component. Like, I reach out, I follow up with people, I do all the customer like PR stuff. Although I'm bringing on more staff, I've just recently had to start bringing people on because it's getting to be more than just I alone can handle.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying you've been watching the price of cryptocurrency as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's pretty bad right now. It got really good and then it got really bad.
You know, it's what it was a month ago, is how I look at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been sort of half following it, and all of my friends have been following it since 2017.
Yeah.
And so they're still up like 20 times in a lot of cases. So I don't know. It's not too bad. I've been told specifically by them, because I've asked about this myself, is like, hey, so these cryptocurrency prices, like, what does this mean for the whole thing?
Right.
And apparently it doesn't matter. Like, the valuation that people place on blockchain and various tokens, like, apparently these organisms don't really care, and they're just gonna keep doing their thing anyway. Because when it was really high, like, I had people asking me, and I reached out to the lab, and I was just like, with the price so high, like, can people submit like lower pollination fees so that progress can keep going? And the answer was just like a resounding no, because that's literally the minimum threshold.
The minimum you have the threshold.
Yeah.
Because it won't trigger the pollination or the reproductive cycle otherwise.
Right.
Yeah. So it is what it is, I guess.
Oh boy. Look who's
Oh
here.
boy, it's Dorpy.
Oh boy.
What is this?
I had to stop by because I heard the words cryptoart and labs, which are two of my favorite words. So I thought I'd say hi. I just been watching what you're talking about here. I hope these things can't get out of control and take over the place, like in Jurassic Bark.
Is this a new species or something? What am I looking at here?
I tried to go research a little bit, but your site said you had to be over 18 to enter. So
That's not true at
I
all.
only meet that requirement in dog years only.
Okay.
Dorpy, I think that you were not on the right website. You went to you're on cryptobiotica.com, right? What? Biotica? Oh man, I did
Where
not.
did you go?
I did not get that website right. I gotta go erase my internet history. Bye.
Erotica.
I don't even know. I don't even want to know where Morphe ended up.
Dorpy.
Dorpy.
Yeah. Morphe.
I had a friend of mine call people Mookle once.
A Mookle? How do you even?
That's funny.
I mean, you could at least say, bleeple or something similar.
Right.
Oh no, that's how it started. Each time I talk to him, he's just
changes
yeah. So
it.
how's Dinkle doing? All right, and I'm like, where are you coming
Yeah.
up with these from? Like,
That's
yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think NFTs are going? Just in general, where do you see NFTs in the next 10 years?
Mhm.
10 years. Well, that's a long stretch. I have ideas for where it's going in like the more immediate future, because like obviously, and it's been said to death, but just the layer 2 thing needs to come out. And
Totally agree.
that just keeps,
Yeah.
it's going to be like one of those continuous things. And it's like, if Ethereum doesn't, manage to pull that off, then, it'll be replaced by a different blockchain that can effectively do that, because they already exist out there. They just weren't first to market. And so, yeah, either or, it's going forward. Like the whole gas issues and congestion issues are going to be resolved one way or the other,
Right.
whether that's Ethereum or whether it's another coin.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, it's they could kind of become implemented into everything, but I assume you're referring more to like in an artistic sense.
I mean,
of
kind
things.
of artistic, like when this becomes normal, what does that mean? That's kind of where I have been looking at this recently, because we had the big thing, we had the big rally, and it's here, and it's going to stay. But as the years go by, where do the NFTs and the blockchain transactions fall for the average artist?
Well, I think their use and popularity will ascend directly in proportion to or with people's own online like sense of identity and the transference of like status and appearance to online formats rather than like physical. And so like you have $200,000 Rolex watches, and so at a certain point, like certain NFTs, like going to someone's social media profile, and which will have NFT implementation, like you'll go to their profile and you'll see things that they own,
Right.
and it'll be like the equivalent to that. It'll be like a means of demonstrating what you're into, what you do, and where you put your money and what you decide to invest in. It'll all be self-apparent and completely verified. Nobody be able to lie about it and be like, I'm really into donating to charitable causes and doing this and that. It's like, okay, well, you go to your profile, don't see any of the things that would like indicate and prove that. And so that's where I think there is a like friction point in people's online personas and identities and things like that. And I think NFTs could fill that. I don't know. The use cases are just like too numerous to even dive into.
Yeah, I mean, I never want to have to buy fast food with cryptocurrency, because if people know how often I go to Taco Bell on the blockchain.
Yeah. So use a privacy coin.
Yeah, there.
See, that's one thing that I don't like about Venmo, is that sometimes you've got your transfers as public, and it's like, that's stupid.
Yeah. You can see how much money you're spending on drugs. That's just, not a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that's a sentiment that I think more than just you would feel. And so it would be like, I don't know, you would get trophies for things, even if it's going to Taco Bell. Like, here's a trophy for
talk
getting
about gas fees, am I right?
Yeah. Oh my god. All right, that wasn't bad. But like, consider like the ability to display and showcase trophies that you genuinely are proud of. Like, went to Camp Mograph, this many years in a row.
Yeah.
Here's all the badges received from going to Camp Mograph this many years in a row. Then people can go, oh, what's Camp Mograph? They click on it, they learn more. Oh, this person joined in motion graphics.
And then they can see how many people also have that badge.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, everybody's in this Camp Mograph NFT club. Okay.
Yeah. So this is just one use case.
Right.
The other one, which is more obvious that I think's already been talked about, is like game cosmetics and things like that. Like being able to buy a skin, like a certain weapon skin.
AR skin. That's the one I always bring up.
Or AR, yeah. And just have it be cross-platform, cross-game.
Yeah.
And like all that verification necessary to do that kind of stuff is done. I heard a rumor Ubisoft was even getting into, or was looking into Tezos and how they could use and apply it. And I think we're going to see more of that. Like, you know, whether crypto happens to be up or down here or then, like, I would say it's definitely here to stay at this point, and it's just going to become even more and more apparent and like present. Because like Ryan, just the other week, like he got a takeout at a restaurant nearby, and on their receipt was printed Dogecoin to the moon.
Yeah.
He didn't print that on there. Like that's
funny.
It just like it came with that. Like everybody knows about the stuff now, and so I think the lull that we've seen since 2018. Like till now, I don't see that happening again.
Yeah.
I think it's seen too much widespread exposure, whereas like I only knew about it back then because a bunch of my friends were into it, and so I had to know about it.
And like Carlos says in the chat here, like property titles will be linked to the blockchain. I mean, that is a great case.
Car titles, physical things,
absolutely,
physical things, and they're accompanying. Like, it's the answer to a lot of utility stuff like that. But in an art sense, it's like, I think we've still yet to see the extent of like how that can change what we think of as artwork and the limits of artwork. Like programmable smart contracts is the next thing I'm looking into. Like state changes of things.
Right. Dynamic NFTs.
Dynamic. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh man, so interesting to see how it's evolving and just think about where it's going. If you're somebody who really likes to think about the future and the possibilities of the future and where all of that fun stuff is going, it's great because you can just the sky's the limit. So.
Yeah, it's kind of why I've thrown myself headfirst into it all. Because, I mean, I was a TA for School of Motion before all this and didn't have too much else to my name other than that. And so I kind of just looked at this as, like, the opportunity to make that start. Because I have, like, full confidence it's going, like, places, and now is the time to build and the time to anticipate that and kind of position yourself at, the forefront of a huge new thing that'll be world-changing in many senses.
Yeah, we're definitely in the Friendster days of NFTs.
Yeah.
That's for true. We're not even a MySpace.
Facebook page.
Yeah. Get to the Facebook days, yeah. But any other NFT things we want to cover before we get out of here today? I think we might have it all covered. What do you say?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Well, why don't you give us a little outro and we'll flip back over.
If anybody has any drops that they want to get noticed on the podcast, make sure to hit us up, info@mograph.com. Send us your links, and we'll show them off. As always, make sure to listen to the full show, the Mograph podcast, every Monday at noon Central Time.
All right.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here.
All right, goodbye.
Drop. Is this the fucking mic? This is exactly what I should be doing.